Well, welcome to Just Us, Just Lucky Us. This is us.
Yep.
Whatever is us.
Welcome.
I have to say this is 2-0. We started one yesterday. We did a good one. We enjoyed it, and it disappeared.
Just
We
vanished.
just can't find it. So we're going to go because talking does not seem that difficult for either one of us. We're just going to resume.
Especially
So
for you.
why don't you talk about what yesterday's was about?
What was yesterday's
I
about?
mean,
Who
you
can
being so
remember? It was
shy.
such a long time ago. Well, we talked about your new handicap sticker. We talked about my foul mood. And I don't know what else we talked about, but I'm sure we'll figure something else out, or that'll be enough.
This was a new card to through the window to another chapter. So what it's a handicap card. Put on any car in New York on the front, and you can park all the places I've not been allowed to park. I used it twice already today. I must say I enjoyed it. I appreciated it. It was a very hard thing for me to do. I admit it was a big, stepping stone, a new chapter. I didn't want to have one of those people who had to have a handicap card. Although I don't think they even call it that now. That so many complaints about the different names, they just don't call it anything. Here's your card. Get out.
It doesn't say anything on it.
Doesn't say anything on it that will incriminate them. It started when we went to Albany week ago, almost a week ago, to see a big program, what was it? What was it?
Selected shorts.
Selected Shorts. There were about 3,000 people there, and we had to walk a long ways to get there from the parking. And I was really struggling to walk. I have a brace on my leg, as some of you know, and it was really painful, and I didn't think I could make it back. Plus, which my diabetes numbers were plunging for some reason. I didn't have any of those pills you're supposed to take to balance it out. So I was pretty convinced I was going to die right there in that room.
When you
Which kind
talked
of
about
diminished
it,
the fun a little bit.
yeah, and I could tell you were nervous the whole time, and I can definitely understand. I mean, you really thought you were going to wind up in the hospital. You're sitting there and you're like, how am I going to even get back to the car? You were thinking because it was so bad, and I knew it was bad, but I didn't know how bad it was for you.
And you love the group, so you had a good time.
Well, I did. I did. We did leave early though.
I know. I finally groaned at the end. I gotta get out
No,
of
it was
here.
good that you said it. You just couldn't do it anymore, and you were, you were worried about your numbers, and it was good that we left when we did.
Even though I pride myself on trying not to be a conventional male, I am, of course, a conventional male in many ways. One of them is that you need to be hit on the head with a hammer sometimes before you awaken to something that you need to do. This was definitely something I needed to do.
You were definitely hit on the head with a hammer too.
And I was hit on the head with a hammer.
You were
And I
definitely.
said, "Oh, okay. So I got to do something different." So I went the next day to the doctor, and she gave me a form, and then I brought it to the town clerk. And when you're into these things, you realize that it's quite routine for many people. It's not a big drama. And so now I can actually realize I can go to more places more comfortably than I could, because I don't have to worry about getting there. If we park nearby, I'm fine. And I can walk around. I can walk around museums and all that.
I think the big thing is with stuff like this is that it doesn't, there is a lot there. Of course, there's resistance because it's saying to you, okay, now you're in a different part of your life.
Now you're an old man.
And yeah, and you don't want to have to accept that. But I think once you get, once you do and you accept it and you say, okay, this is what it is. And I think it still takes a little while. I mean, I've had things like that too, where, it takes a little while for acceptance, and maybe, you have to be upset about it first. But then from what I've found is that they make it, they make life a little better, and you move on. You find other ways of doing things, or this will actually open up more opportunities because we will be able to go places maybe that we haven't been able to go before. And I think I'll be more conscious of it too, because I love to walk, so it's like just the opposite for me.
A perfect pair.
When you park like as close as you can to the door at a store, I would have parked like on the other side of the parking lot. So I it's an adjustment.
Well, I think it is. It's a big adjustment, and I think when you're into, at least when I get into it, I accept it. Okay, that's the way it's going to be. I'm not going to fuss and whine about it anymore. And today we went to the market where we buy a lot of our groceries, and they have this spot right in front of the door, and I, of course, never parked there, so I was hauling all these bags back and forth wherever I could get a space. And today I'm just going to go in that space. I pulled right in, right next to the door, put my card out. And I
Look
thought,
at your smile.
this
Look
is not
at your
so
smile.
bad. This is really not so bad. Think about holding all these bottles and bags and things. And, so there's a bright side to all this stuff. And I think the whole key to getting older is acceptance. You accept where you are. It's not the end of the world. It's the beginning of another world. So I've gone through a door into another world, and I'm fine. And I get on with my business of working and loving and whatever I do. I'm very happy. I'm very lucky, and I know it, and I feel that way. So it's another step to me, ultimately forward. I a little bit rude for a couple of days. I rued the days where I didn't need to do that, and now I can celebrate the days where I can do it and go wherever the hell I want. So that's not bad. That's not a bad trade-off. And this followed a day we had. We were talking. The other thing we were talking about was how to deal with in a marriage, how to deal with moods, how to deal when one has a bad mood and the other has another mood. And the other day we had the great example of that when my wife went into
I was basically possessed.
She was possessed.
I was possessed. I was like.
I was thinking of calling a priest and having some ceremony here, and she was like spitting fire, and you kind of looked at her. And,
I was in a bad.
You're in a bad mood.
I was in a bad mood, and it was just like went through my whole body. It was like one of those things where it just like went through my whole body. And there was no getting rid of it.
Even the bugs were running.
Everything. Animals. I was like, get away from me! Everyone, leave me alone. It was just like
And I was thrilled she was going to belly dancing.
usually like, oh, I'm gonna miss you tonight, and you're like, good, go, be gone.
Aren't you supposed to go? Aren't you late? Get going.
Maybe you want to leave early, right?
And then I get this hilarious phone call not too far later. So I'm just calling to tell you that I'm better now, so you don't have to run and flee.
Belly dancing definitely helped. Belly dancing always helps. There are certain things that help.
Sometimes you're being out of the house really helps.
Yes, well, that would help with you.
Yes, well, we were sharing. We both go through these moods.
Yes, you have your
moods. Neither one of us
too.
is a simple, easygoing person.
You get very quiet in your moods. You're different.
Quiet.
You just
quiet
get
internally.
very quiet, and it's like, okay, and anything I say is like not good. So I just stop and like walk away. It's like,
but
okay.
we have there's a lot of wisdom in that though, because now we've learned, we're married together like 120 years. So, but we've learned, I've learned, she's learned, when you're in a mood like that, you just roll with it, It's okay.
Yeah, it's not about you.
Deal.
You're very good about that. You're like, I know it's not about me, and it's going to go away. You just have to feel that way.
You have to have your
sometimes.
own life too, to do that well. Because we have our own lives that are rich, our independent lives.
Yeah.
My work, your work,
right.
You're in the woods, whatever. We all have our things that are our passion. My flower pictures.
Right.
And if you don't have that, and the only other thing you have is the other person's mood all day long.
That's a bad thing.
I see these couples all the time, and these men tell me, "Oh, well, ever since I got retired, my wife and I don't get along. Good, now we got to spend all this time together, and we get on each other's nerves." We don't really get the chance to do that because we're rarely alone together, and we're very, we love each other. We live here, but she has her world, I have my world, and when I'm in my office writing or dealing with the pantry, there is no other world. And same with you in your art. When you're in your art, you're in your own world and happy and busy.
Yeah. So even though we both work at home, we're like not on top of each other.
And when we see each other, we have a lot to catch up on. What did you do today? What did you do today? So we don't really have time to get sick of each other. And we love each other a lot too, which doesn't hurt either.
And we haven't been married really, compared to other couples.
It feels like 100 years. But
yeah.
So we haven't been married that long, but long enough to get annoyed if you want to do that.
Definitely long enough.
So I think those things are, to me, also, they're not a big deal. They're not worth fluttering over.
And they go away. It's not like they.
But also, we get a big kick out of them because you really were like the. Who's that girl in the movie?
The Toast of London. There's an episode of that. We love that show. It's an episode of it where the landlord's niece comes to stay with them because she has this allergy. He says she has this allergy. She's having a hard time, and she's possessed. I mean, she's like spewing vomit, and it's
and
just
fire, and
her eyes are bugging out of her head. And it's just hysterical. And I said, her name was Honeysuckle. I'm Honeysuckle today. That's who I am.
Every time she said that, I cracked up. I mean, you can't get upset about it because A, it was true, and B, it's just really funny.
And it makes you laugh, I know.
So the other thing that brings me to is the power of a sense of humor. I think we always end up laughing at stuff, always. Even if we fight, we end up laughing about it. because usually it was over nothing. much.
Eventually we get to the
And
laughing
we have our
part.
moments,
Yeah,
that are not always pleasant, and our moments that are very pleasant. But I think we do end up laughing at this, like we're just doing,
yeah.
rather than sulking,
When you're in
pouting,
it,
and
it's not as easy to do, but like afterwards, it's
you were
definitely
laughing. You
easier.
came out of it laughing. You were laughing all day
Well, when
about
I
it.
thought of honeysuckle, I was like, oh boy.
So now, whenever she's in a
That's
bad mood,
me.
I'm going to think of honeysuckle, and she's going to laugh. That's an even better way to handle it. And to see the flames coming out of her nose, that was that was a lot of fun. But I think we're both intense people, and we're both, I don't know what the right word is exactly. Not simple people would be the best, kindest way I could put it.
Okay.
And it's good that we've really learned to deal with that.
And we have. I mean, we've definitely gotten better at it as the years go on. And I think it has a lot to do with trust too, that we trust each other more, and geez, I know in my last marriage, I thought every time we had a fight, it was going to be the end of the marriage. And so I was like, oh man, I was always apologizing like, ridiculous.
Well, that has changed.
But now it's like, okay, we had a fight. We'll get over it. And that's because, we do get over it and we talk about it and, we don't just gloss over it.
I think that's a very important thing. You
makes-
just put your finger on. That trust is really the basis of that.
Yeah, we know it's going to be
If
okay.
you trust each other, it's going to be okay no matter
Yeah.
what's going on.
We really feel like we really know each other. We have a good foundation, a good base.
And I think that humor matters. I think we always
Humor is
end
really
up kind of
important.
laughing about it.
Yeah, humor is really important. It's important in so many things just in life to be able to laugh. And even when there's nothing to laugh about.
The other thing I want to mention briefly, and I forgot about it yesterday. So we've hired this kid to come and help him brush the animal. Call him B. And he's a great kid. He's been homeschooling and looking for stuff to do. And so we hired him to brush the animal, brushes Zinnia, and then he brushes the donkeys. And he fits into the farm like a glove. He loves doing it. Maria loves teaching him how to do it. And it feels really good to have him around. He comes once a week. He brushes Zinnia, who's very easygoing. And the donkeys have fallen in love with him.
The donkeys really, which they don't like everyone, but they just really took to him. He's very gentle, and he's very good with the animals. He's very quiet. He's very still. He doesn't make a lot of jerky movements or anything like that. He's not like loud and like some people are. And they just love him. Now they come right over to him, and he's going to work on Zip. He's working on Zip because he wants to brush Zip next. He wants to get to know every one of the animals. He wants to get to know the hens too. But that's they're a little tougher. A little food. We have to just introduce.
Yeah, with food, anything is possible. Well, it's. I think what it makes me realize that both of us are kind of estranged from our families. The family thing did not work out for us. And so, in a way, we are always recreating little families. Our friend Ian's coming over for dinner tonight, and when this kid's there, and Maria, I think you love doing that.
I like having young people around. I really enjoy having someone of a whole different generation around, and I like being able to teach him what I know. It's something I enjoy doing. It gives me a lot of pleasure, and I hope it's I think it's helpful to him too.
So it's nice. There are all kinds of ways of building family and having family.
Yeah, I think of Ian and our friend Margaret, and I think we often, the four of us get together because they're both poets, and we are what we are. And I think of us as our little creative family, and it's like you have the range from 25 years old to 80 years old, and it's just like this great little family. So I do like that.
I kept thinking I was out looking at you, and the two of you were brushing the donkeys together.
Yeah, it was fun.
And he's asking you what the names are of the different sheep, which I don't know really. And you're telling him, and he's sucking it all up, and you can see how good it is for him.
Yeah,
he needs something like that.
Yeah,
and so that's given a little richness to the farm, as has Zip and stuff like that. So.
Right. No, it's nice to have people come in that way, in a very bounded way, but also it's helpful. It's helpful to them, and it's like being held. And when you're holding, you're being held or holding. It's it both benefits.
And donkeys are truly wonderful creatures. They're incredibly loving, and when they feel like it, and seeing them interact with somebody like that it makes me feel very good.
Me too, and they love it.
They love it. Okay, well, I think that's our stuff for today.
I think we're done.
I think we did pretty well, given that we had to repeat it, but
It's always different.
You know, for me, bullshit is an open water, so you know it's always going. Anyway, we had a nice time talking to you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the nice notes. We shall hopefully not lose this version, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye bye.